Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Friday night live. We were due to go live at 7. Ross, William, Andy will be joining me, but I wanted to come on a wee bit beforehand, just to kind of share my musings and things like that. So yeah, we're on a little bit early. Why do that? Honestly, just got a few things to say regarding Rangers. Before we start, huge thank you to our sponsor, CBD Oil Scotland. If you mention Four Lads online, you will get a 50% discount when you're ordering. Candid, LBJ Consultants, Elite Scooter Scotland, Metaclad, Four Lads Rangers, official roofing partner, Aesthetics Lounge by Sharon. Mention them and you get a 10% discount as well. Mention Four Lads on their website, so you get a 10% discount. And Denhay, the quintessential British bacon, also joined us this season as AFO Industrial Solutions. Ian and Deb, fantastic friends of mine as well. They're sponsoring the pod. Stu is currently on holiday at the moment. Once he's back, they'll be up on advertising and things too. Straight talking tonight, folks. It will be, especially for me. Something that I've tried to do always since Four Lads started was be completely honest. I've always tried to push the manager or the players or whatever in a press conference situation. I've always tried to do my level best. I've always tried to wait and be honest, and give you complete honesty on the website, which I've done now for fast approaching 8 years. And it's really difficult sometimes when Rangers get beat. It's emotional. It's difficult. I've been watching this team now for 35 years. I've been going to games. One of the boys in the comments, Gary Howden, lives in America now. One of my best friends from back home for a while, and we used to go to nearly every game, me and Gary on the bus and stuff. And he knows as much as anybody does how big a Rangers fan I am. So it was straight talking. You would have seen the show on, I think, the night before the Wednesday night, and I desperately wanted Rangers to win the game, and I was saying we would win the game. But I drove home last night, and when I drove home, I dropped Kenny off and I dropped Davey off, and I barely said a thing, on the way home on Sunday. And already apathy for me is sunk in. I spoke a lot in the summer, and I got heavily criticised, verging on abuse, for going on Rangers Review. And we were on the gantry, I think it was after a friendly, either West Ham or I think it was definitely West Ham. It was a Sunday. We were talking about Tello Asgard. He happened to be the comment at the time, and we were talking about it. And I said, Tello Asgard is not a Rangers player, and he won't be a Rangers player because he doesn't do the basics and he doesn't do what he needs to do, and I just don't rate him. And the answer was no, I don't think he would succeed. And the abuse I got and everything in the comments and, and personal stuff. I'll never shy away from trying to be as honest as I can about this football club. And this brings me to why I came on early. And it's a message to Andrew Cavanagh and everyone at Rangers Football Club at this moment in time. And I speak for myself. I don't speak for any fans. I'm not a fan representation. I speak for myself. This is as bad as I've seen it in terms of first team quality. When you look at that squad last night, from goalkeeper to striker, the lack of quality throughout it is absolutely alarming. Not only is alarming, it's absolutely disgraceful. The money that we've wasted in 12 months is diabolical. To have 27 players brought in the door is quite simply ridiculous. Rangers could end up signing 16 players this summer and still be 5 short, and that is absolutely appalling. Andrew Cavanagh, I have absolutely no doubts, is a man who loves his football club and is bought into it and wants the very best. But I'm sorry, everything that you're touching at this moment in time is not working. And that's just the honest truth, because you're putting your faith in people that should not be at this football club. Top to bottom, the recruitment is an absolute disgrace. And those 27 players, and I'll go back and we talk about people like Cyril Dessers, and Cyril Dessers done a good job for Rangers, scoring 50-odd goals over 2 years. But he wasn't good enough. And that opinion was valid. The problem is every time we've got rid of a player like Cyril Dessers or like James Tavernier, instead of improving them, we've got worse. And every single time I sit there in the season and say, it can't get any worse than this, it gets worse. And it brings me also to last night. I thought in the first half we were a 6 out of 10. But every single one of us, if we're honest with ourselves, you can't see where the goals are coming from. And that's the truth of it. There's no threat to this. There is no excitement in this team. We are very boring to watch. It's very workmanlike. There's no quality throughout. There's no skill. There's nobody, barring one or two maybe, that can take on players or add pace or add excitement. And I won't apologise for saying that the standard of Rangers Football Club at this moment is in the gutter. And you look at it and you wonder why. We spent 5 million on a striker that was playing the German third division, and then we all sit and wonder why he's not good enough. We build up players and give them a pedestal, and they're never ever good enough. The second half last night was as big a mess as I've seen at Rangers in a long time. And it's not good enough. It's not good enough. A lot of it is on Derek McInnes. All I wanted when he came in was a team that was at least stable, that at least we could trust, at least was well organised, at least had a bit of something about it. And I'm not saying that I expected Derek McInnes to come in and win the first 4 or 5 games. People remember I was talking about a lack of quality and saying we might have to dig in. There's a difference between digging in and stinking the whole place out. It does not look like it's organised. It doesn't look like there's a style of play. And in the first half, we had a style of play. It was good because when they had goal kicks, we were pushing in. We kind of looked like we knew what we were doing. But the second half was disgraceful, and the players and the manager need to look upon themselves for that. And I'm not going to hide away from the biggest thing. If Derek McInnes gets beat on Sunday, we go into that game against Jablonec next week, the Czechs in the Conference League. We're another 2 or 3 games before the fans asking Derek McInnes to leave. And by asking, I mean protesting for Derek McInnes to leave already. The quality in the first team is disgraceful. The money wasted is awful. And my biggest advice to Andrew Cavanagh is you need to be very careful about who you're putting your trust in, because whoever it is you're putting your trust in, they are not delivering from top to bottom at this football club. And I'll call it. And the reason why I came on early is because this is my podcast and it's my platform. I take responsibility for what goes out in it, but I will call a spade and tell people that are watching, this football club from top to bottom is miles away from the standards of Rangers Football Club and the standards that are expected. There's absolutely no way that you can justify the amount of money we've spent and the amount of players that have come in and out that door, and to be the mess we are in and to look as short on quality as we do and possibly say that the football club's been run well and doing a good job. It is not. And that's the stark and honest truth of it. We are hurtling towards a situation once again where we are 1 defeat away from a disaster. That defeat might come on Sunday. And it's honestly disgraceful. The standards of Rangers Football Club are being dragged through the gutters. So my advice to Andrew Cavanagh and Parag Marathi and those that are running the football club is changes are needed rapidly, and you need to start putting your faith in the better people around. And what I mean by that is if Graham Souness speaks, or if there's a Davy Weir speaks, or somebody that knows the football club, you may want to start listening to them because they know Rangers and they are successful. I appreciate you come in and put your money where your mouth is, but this is miles short. Rangers should never have been beaten by that side over 2 legs. They were quite a comfortable and quite a decent counter-attacking side. But for Rangers Football Club to have a free kick at one end, we're actually more dangerous when we're attacking for the other team than we are for us. The lack of quality from top to bottom is absolutely disgraceful. So that's what I wanted to say, folks, and that's why I wanted to come on the show early, because I take responsibility for it. Over the course of the 7 years and the 4 or 5 years I've done fan media, I feel like I've held Rangers to account. I feel like I've questioned everybody, the managers from start to finish. whether it's been Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Michael Beale, Philip Clement, Russell Martin, Danny Rule. I feel like all of them I've had difficult and questions from me, but it's time also for me to step back a wee bit and let others take the mantle. The pressure on me, the comments online, go and tell him he's not coached and everything else. Russell Martin was about 10 games deep, and we had just been hammered 9-1 off Bruges and everything else before I asked Russell Martin, do we look coached? And we don't. And we didn't. And everybody, well, 90% of people agreed with it. I shouldn't have asked it at the time. It was emotional. Shouldn't have done that. And I'm not willing to do it again with Derek McInnes or any other Rangers manager. So it's time for other people to step up there and do that. I'm a Rangers fan of 30 odd years, and the pressure of that is enough for me to say that it's time to step back. Nobody was more despondent than me last night. And I sat outside in the presser waiting for Derek to come in just so I could listen. And I felt it, and I was embarrassed. And the people running this football club should be embarrassed about the state that Rangers are in. So my message, and it's my message, it's not a message from four lads, and I will put my name to it, is everyone in this football club needs to have a strong, hard look at themselves, because this is what they consider to be good enough for Rangers Football Club. The standards of players, the standards of operation, the standards of our football club from top to bottom, then they're sadly mistaken. Ross, Andrew, William join us now. Gentlemen, good evening. Ross, how are you, mate? You well? Cannot hear you, mate. Ross, I cannot hear you. So, Andrew, we'll go to you, mate. We'll come back to Ross. Andrew, how are you?
Well, I was listening to your the tail end of your opinion, and it's very much felt. It's a very difficult day as a Rangers fan after a very difficult night last night. Painful, embarrassing. But as you said, it hurts, and I'm trying my best today to not be fully down in the gutter because I had to go to work and I have to live my life. Although I know Danny Rojas and Ted Lasso is football is life, but my life would be very, very, very sad if it was fully, ran by what Rangers does. But yeah, it's another one of those, Stevie. We're gonna have to lick our wounds, and I'm sure we'll chat about it tonight and where we go from here and everything. But yeah, at least I'm with you guys, and we can have a chat about it.
Yeah, William, good evening, mate. I bet you're delighted you joined four lads, and I bet you're delighted I emailed you back saying, yeah, come on, mate.
Absolutely, mate. Again, not at this point at the moment, but yeah, I mean, I just kind of echo what Andrew said. To be fair, I never thought I would ever say. I'm still not going to say it, but I'd be close to using a certain word of. It's close to being ashamed of our football club. Again, we're all raised Rangers fans, and I love Rangers to bits. But to see us in the state that we are right now, like, again, I kind of said to you in that email when I joined, like, I grew up with my two older brothers, like, telling me about the glory years, the types of players that they saw, and I'm sitting here and thinking, like, when's it my turn? Like, when do I get to see this? So, apart from that, again, it's good to chat with you guys because it's like a therapy session, like you say. I think my wife's probably sick and tired, to be fair, of me moaning and groaning all the time about what's going on with Rangers. But as good as I can be, mate. Had a little bit of fishing today. Supposedly they say fishing soothes the soul and it helps you. It did make me forget about Rangers a little bit. I was just sitting there watching a fishing line for about 5 hours. But apart from that, as soon as I came out of fishing, I was like, yep, we need to go and talk about Rangers now. This is not going to be easy. But I hope everyone else is doing well as well.
Ross, let's see if this works, mate. Good evening, how are you?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness, mate. That was like trying to watch us attack, man.
Oh, mate, what? I turned on this computer and it gave me an update for the Meta Horizon, and then it was going to the VR microphone. The VR's out in the hall. As you say, it's about as organised as Rangers are at the moment. Terrible, Stevie. Aye, terrible. You summed it up pretty well there. I watched that 10-minute impassioned plea from yourself. and I don't think anybody could say a word you said of it is wrong, mate. But we'll give you our input for the next 45 minutes to an hour and try and cut our way through some of the issues we feel the club are having. And as you say, make sure we give it our honest opinion and don't hold back on things, because it's not getting us anywhere. For the boardroom to the podcasts to the club need to be told and hear some of these hard truths, because as you say, we're 90 minutes on Sunday away for writing another season off after 4 games. It gets worse and worse every single year for whatever, no matter how much money we're throwing at it, no matter how much shit we're trying to stick at the wall, it's getting worse and worse and earlier each year. So I would love to say I'm looking forward to the next 45 minutes, but as much as I can, it'll be good to spend time with you boys.
Yeah, I like hanging about with people that have got hair, so that'll get me through the next 45 minutes or so. What I will say, folks, before we start is this is a straight talking show. Before anybody comes on, I do not tell them what they're allowed to say and what they're not allowed to say. This is a free speech. I will kick it off by talking about last night, and then boys just jump in at the end of it. Ross, go first, and then boys follow in. I thought we were okay with the first half without ever looking dangerous, because I don't see where the goals are coming from. That's the biggest problem. I like the look of Yokota on the right. Needs to work on his end product a wee bit, but he's shown signs he's not up to speed yet, so he's not fit. I think the front two lack, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I thought Gassama done well on the left, but his fitness is awful. The midfield is not right. Christ almighty, I don't know how many players we have to buy before we realise the midfield is not right, and we just keep replacing them with the same like for like. The defence is woeful. From right to left, it's just, I know they went 3 at the back last night, but when they went to 4 and McCrory and stuff like that, it is really bad. Pandur, I think, is fine. I really do. But the way that we get cut apart in that first half, I understand why Derek went to 4, because we were far too open. And being 1-0 up, he probably thought if we can go to 4, then we can stabilise it a bit. But the problem with going to 4 for me is, and I'm not a tactics guy, folks, and I don't pretend I understand, and people might say I don't think so, but we've got 4 at the back, and then we've got 2 sitting midfielders who naturally come in deep. We've got 2 wingers who go really high, and 2 strikers who are not fast, they're not athletic, they don't get involved in the game. So the gaps in between the pitch, we just got passed in between, and it was so easy for them. And that spoke volumes of the goal. The goal that they scored was our free kick, and it was a dangerous free kick. We bent it in, and it got nodded, and by four passes, they were in our box crossing it for them to score. That's not right. Derek McInnes said about 3 games ago, I cannot watch this team be dangerous at our side of the box only to concede, and yet it is still happening. The quality and lack of it is ridiculous. I will talk about individuals in a minute, but I will say the matchday vlog, there's been something wrong with it today. I'm trying to upload it. But the matchday vlog will go up, and you'll see Kenny and I talk about it. Kenny and I had written the game off by 60 minutes. We'd said a goal's coming, and we're never going to respond to this. And everybody in that stadium could feel it. And that's a sad indictment of where we are. There is a real lack of quality. This is not a good Rangers team. It's not like even potentially Drewish. We know he's not, but if he was to come in, that's going to fix it. It's really not. This is a really bad state of affairs. Last night summed that up. I don't like saying this. That second half was garbage. And a lot of those players that played in it really need to have a long, hard look at themselves. And we will talk about individuals. Somebody said to me the other day in the comments that they'd lost my respect because of the way I talked about Lawrence Shankland. And I talked about Lawrence Shankland in a respectful footballing way of how I thought he was performing. I'm going to say more stuff tonight that people might not like, but it'll be honest. And that's the way I call it. I thought that second half was an absolute disgrace. No passes or play. They didn't look like they knew what they were doing. They were so easy to play against. The gaps in the team were wide open. Individuals almost looked like they gave up. And if you're one of those individuals that played last night, you should take a long, hard look at yourself. Ross?
So I would have to agree. Obviously, we're going to talk about individual players, Stevie, but for me as a team, we don't look cohesive. We don't look as if we want to dig in for each other. We've now had 4 weeks pre-season and nearly 3 weeks of the actual season. Players don't look, they look as if they've phoned each other up for a game of fives after work, because a couple of players have pulled out and you've pulled in your mates. Some of them look as if they've actually came from the pub. The manager's got to take a long, hard look at himself for me. I don't know. And I spoke to my dad about this earlier. My dad's a junior football guy. Yeah. He watches Joker, always has done, but obviously through Xander, watched Hearts for the last X amount, knows McInnes for St Johnstone days. He signed him way back then. And what you're seeing now isn't the same Derek McInnes, and it isn't the same Lawrence. You look at the places Shankland played last year when McInnes got the best out of him. He's dropping back as if he's Paul Scholes this season. Lawrence and Braga had a good way of playing where one of them was kind of on the edge of the D and the other one was up in the six. But Lawrence Shankland last night is back on the edge of the D. Like, are the two of them, they've made it to their boyhood club, they've made it to where they want to be, and they're just trying to do too much. McInnes isn't a big one for chopping and changing constantly, but all of a sudden, it's ironic that the chairman in that compared him to Jurgen Klopp, because at the moment he thinks he's Guardiola. He's got to change shape and change personnel every 45 minutes as if we're still in pre-season. That's not the Derek McInnes that we know and that we hired. Derek McInnes teams are hard to play against. Fuck, you'll never see a team easier to play against than Rangers in the first 4 games of this season. We're no good in possession. We're definitely no good out of possession. As you say, we're getting cut through like a hot knife through shit every 2 minutes. We've got centre-backs that can't defend. We've got pussyfooting about with the ball at the back. These are no hallmarks of a Derek McInnes team. So what has changed? What is the difference? He's come to a team that's got better players and a better budget. And it's as if he doesn't know what to do with it. He's got too many toys and he wants to have a wee play with them all. And he's going to need to get a grip on it fast, Stevie, because at the moment, it's running away from him. It's running away from him pretty badly. And he could end up out on his hole in record time. And that's just the cutthroat business of being the Rangers manager. But as a team, as a whole, I hate the term leadership group, because see, every leadership group we've brought in the last 5 or 6 years, every one of them turns to a pile of ashes when the pressure gets on. Butland, Sterling, Tavernier, you look this year, Lawrence has not started well, Neil's not started well, Dragicevic has hardly had a chance but doesn't look a world beater. So are we putting too much expectation on them? But for me, the bare minimum expectation is to be able to pass to a teammate, and if a teammate makes a mistake, you bust your balls to get back there and cover for them. I don't see any of that. As you say, we'll go into individuals, but we're too easy to play against going forward, and we're too easy to play against, defending against. Our set pieces look chronic, and the attitude of the players is quite disgusting, to be honest, Stevie. So obviously we'll go into more detail throughout the pod. I didn't want to start honing in on folk there, but as a generalisation, the club from top to bottom need to sort their shit out, because at the moment the fans are back on that knife edge. Last year it took to maybe the end of September. Here we are. You said it in the group chat the other day. Hello, darkness, my old friend. We're back here again. And what, the schools are not even back?
Ross mentioned something very important, I think, at the very start of it. And it's something I highlighted and spoke about with McInnes. Obviously, I said about him getting the DNA of the club. I fully believe that. I still do believe that. But on his interview, I think it was in Spain, he mentioned about getting that cohesiveness, that camaraderie, that brotherhood. And again, Ross mentioned there, and everyone can see it. Nobody is wanting to. It's like they're kind of maybe shrinking into themselves and they're like, do you know what? This clearly isn't going the way we want it to go. I'm just going to do my job. And if I just do my job, then the responsibility doesn't fall at my doorstep. That's never how it should work, right? You should always be out there fighting for your teammate. And I just don't see anyone fighting for anyone. Lawrence Shankland, I was a big fan. I wanted him in. And again, I'll back this. He made a comment about our leaders aren't what they used to be. Like you can't be assertive, or you can't, like, I can't remember exactly the words that he used, but essentially grab somebody by the throat and say, here, maybe what used to happen back in the, I don't want to say the olden days, no offence to our veteran fans, but to me that's what's needed. Like, again, I don't know if anyone's played sports here, right? But see, when I played, see when we were doing rubbish, you needed somebody to chew you out. See this whole arm around your shoulder rubbish. To me, that it's rubbish. Like, oh, it's okay, mate. Like, you had a bad game. No, like there is a time and a place for that. I completely get it, but just because every other team's doing it, right? If they went and jump off a bridge, would we all do it? No, we wouldn't. So just because every other team's doing it, but there's only a small amount of teams that are actually successful, doesn't mean we should do it. Like, I want somebody to go in there and grab Lawrence Shankland by the neck, like, and say, listen, mate, you're not living up to the standards you spoke about. You said you would set the example by doing it. You're not doing it. Like, last night, I think it was like maybe late on in the game, there was a chance where, like, Manny's like shielding the guy, and Lawrence Shankland's want to take one more touch. Just hit it, man. Like, there's loads of bodies there. Just smack that ball, take a deflection, it could go in, or it might go wide. I just think personally the Shankland for last year would hit that, right? And he might score, he might not, but it's that indecisiveness. That's what we're missing. We're missing somebody, and we've spoken about day in, day out, all the time, every season. Somebody stepping up, having the balls to take that and own it. And listen, we as fans, we know it's not going to be right 100% of the time. We get that. But I think you've said it, Stevie. I think Andrew said it. I can't, again, me and Ross are new, but I'm sure he would have said it as well. We just want somebody to have the balls to do it. That's all. We just need somebody to do that. And the quality, like, again, you've got this young boy, Yokota's coming in. Like, he must be sitting there just thinking, what the hell is going on here? I'm busting a gut. I'm playing like a 3-5-2, playing as a wing back, going up and down. And you could see by the end of the night, like, he was generally, like, nearly falling on the floor. He had given everything. Now, see if all the players had done that, right, and maybe the result didn't go our way. I know we don't like losing, right, but we'd still say, do you know what, guys, you've tried your best. We can acknowledge it. But see, the matter of the fact is, they're not doing it. And then when we do need something, right, we'll then bring, and this is no offence, right, I know he's a favourite player, Ross, but Cammy Devlin, he's coming on and we're expecting him to go forward. That's not his style of play. Personally, like, I've never seen him doing that. He's that wee nippy guy, gets in there, disrupts the play, but there's that big wide gap in midfield, and that Polish team, I'm not going to pronounce their name, they're just having free will to do what they want. And the last thing I'll say as well, sorry, is last year, right, we had, 3-4 defenders on loan. I think something about that. Are you, not you guys, right, but I'm just throwing this out to the ether. Are you telling me that our scouting team, and it's not just on them, but our scouting team, whoever's there, doesn't know we need to address that? So we've had all of last year, and then leading up to this, and we're still one left back down. Our right backs, both of them between them, can't finish 90 minutes. So, and then, we're going to let John Suter go. Maybe, I don't know if the rumours are true. Then we've loaned out wee Nsiala to Waterloo. Again, I think there's obviously some debates about him if he's actually a good enough player to play for Rangers. But then we've got Manny Fernandez, we've got Ben Godfrey, who, again, I said at the start of this, I wouldn't be resting my whole defence around him. He's a 28-year-old who's looking to reignite his career. I get sometimes we'll have players like that, but we need to have a mainstay. We need to have a staple of centre-backs where we know, do you know what, we can maybe take him out because we're going to try and build up Godfrey, but we don't have that. We've got Manny Fernandez again, who I don't know if all the talk is going to his head or whatever, but he's just so lazy, just passing the ball. Like, I saw it yesterday as well. There was just a pass out to the right back. He was just so lazy. and it's one each. Where's the urgency? Like, we need to win this game. Sorry, that's all I'll say on that. And again, we'll go into individuals, and I know I went a little bit into individuals. Sorry, but
just to adding on to what the guys have said. Yeah, I think we'll say what you want about that first half. And I know, Stevie, you're saying you weren't sure where the goals were coming. I thought, at least with the way that we had set up as the half went on, the kind of early scare, which we always seem to have defensively, at least from certain periods, was being managed. I think that every time we tended to push towards the keeper was kind of playing for Shanklin and Adiri to approach, and every time we were focusing up in their goal, Dan Neil and Manny Fernandez are following the number 11 and the 99, and they're kind of just jumping across each other, and one of them's making a false run, and it's just communication. It took them 15-20 minutes to sort, but then they sorted it, and they were pretty spot on. And then you eventually go, okay, well, you don't have to worry about that. Let's just focus on keeping them up there. We were earning throw-ins from the keeper's poor distribution, from good pressure. And the hope with that is, I know you said the goals didn't always look like they were going to come, but the more pressure you put on them, the more they're trying to figure it out in the fly, mental fatigue. That pressure will eventually pay off. I think it did with the penalty, because I think that comes from our hard work. So even if, it doesn't look like we're going to win 4 or 5, I think if we'd stuck with it, you maybe find a second, and it would have been good enough on the night. At half time, obviously, you go and change that. And I think any of that work in the centre back and Fernandez and Neil kind of goes away. Asgard getting brought off, but to me, I mean, not every player on the park needs to be a 10 out of 10. And even, I know Ross had mentioned set pieces, but ironically, I thought Asgard's balls in from the corner, I thought were okay. I think we just need a wee bit more attacking threat when it got there. I think he was pinpointing them near the keeper, and the keeper was struggling. We just need our bigger guys going and winning them, a wee bit of endeavour. But the second half, that's just everything that was good. I know it's not a long list. From the first half was ripped up, and the second half was just a shambles. The only one, again, Gassama is hit or miss, but the two wingers, as we'd said, Yokota and Gassama, they worked their socks off because they had to. And they need to be like that. They need to be, always just trying to be attacking, take a man on, drive, because that looks like the only creativity we have at the minute is from those two. And even then, in the second half, and even in the first half, when they're getting doubled up, we're not moving the ball a bit quick enough. The passes don't have to be left mid's going to go back to centre half's going to drop it to the 6 is going to go back to the centre half's going to switch it over. Like, it can be 2 passes instead of 6. There's just not enough confidence. I think, again, not one to go too in on play like Fernandez. I feel like we'll talk about that more, but Fernandez tried one ball where he cut out McInnes and went straight to Yokota, and he almost fired it to my seat. And from then on in, it was like, nope, I can't do it. Short pass. There just needs to be a wee bit more endeavour. Just try it. Keep going. Have some faith in your ability. But no, we'll take another 2 passes here or there, and we'll slow it right down. And it's not going to be a quick fix. That's the one thing I'd love to see. Sunday we forget about today or yesterday, and Sunday's a new day, because I don't see enough to wager that we will be better. It's death by 1,000 cuts.
Death by 1,000 cuts. It feels like death by a fucking million cuts at this rate, to be honest with you. What I will say, folks, is, can we calm down the overexcitement? William, when he said he means figuratively, easy for me to speak, grabbing by the throat. Good old-fashioned bollocking off your teammate is what he's getting at. I think if we're all getting a bit, would you want your boss to do that? He's talking figuratively. Nobody thinks that William means that Dale will go in there and bloody grab them by the throat. Lee Elson, I'll bring you up in your comment. So, and I talked about this a wee bit. Stevie's comment last night on how we would beat them with ease was really silly. don't have the right to beat anyone anymore if you actually watch the games without tinted glasses. That is, I'll tell you what, Lee, I'm very, very sorry for being a supporter of Rangers Football Club and going to games for 30 plus years and actually believing and wanting my team to win. I'm going to just turn up and go, do you know what? It's miserable. We're not going to win tonight. I just shouldn't have bothered coming, and I'm going to sit and boo and moan and everything else. Get a crap, man, will you? See, if your biggest complaint is that Stevie made a wee comment that we were going to win, give it up, man. Right, I'm going to go through the players and I'm just going to tell you exactly how I feel about it. And I'm not really what people are entitled to make up their own opinions. Manny Fernandez isn't good enough at this moment in time. He's playing like he's still in holiday mode. Little flicks, half jogging back. He did it again at the goal last night. And he's just wildly at this moment not playing well enough. McInnes gets a pass, looks solid enough, fine. Sterling, fine. Attitude is rotten on the boy. He is half-hearted on the pitch to me. I would love him to become a captain-like material, but the truth is he's not. He's somebody that looks to me like he's miles off it. Cavanagh last night was absolutely fine. His fitness is rotten. Absolutely rotten. Nico wasn't good last night, didn't have a great game at all. Dan Neil is completely ineffective. Dan Neil's like a long list of midfielders that we brought in that should be good, but have this unbelievable quality in the Rangers midfield of becoming invisible. Add him to the rest of them, Diamandes, etc., etc. Dan Neil is 100% bang on. Yokota, very good. Gives his all, needs to work in his final ball. Telo Asgard, just an empty jersey. Plays in the fringes of games. He's not got the quality. He's got the quality. He's never in games enough. And here's where it gets difficult. Ryan Adiri, give you everything, doesn't he? Works his balls off, everything else. I'm worried he's a bit of a cart horse. The more I see of him, the more it's a James Beattie-esque kind of person I'm watching. And by the way, Beattie was a top striker, but by the time he came to us, he was done a million years. I'm really worried about Ryan Adiri. And it brings me to Lawrence Shankland. At the weekend, I said that he doesn't have a first touch, doesn't bring players into the game, doesn't have any pace, can't close them down, can't link up, and for some reason has stopped shooting. I'm sorry if people thought that was really harsh. And I'll say it again, I think Lawrence Shankland for Rangers so far has been extremely poor. Somebody said to me, as I said in the comments, that they'd lost my respect for being so hard on him. He's captain of Rangers and he deserves all that respect. Yeah, respect is earned. I've got respect for Lawrence Shankland as a footballer, as everything he's achieved. Is certainly a good goal scorer. Harshly, if we're not providing chances for him, Lawrence Shankland in a Rangers team is absolutely hopeless. So I'm sorry, but that's the way it is for me. He's not to blame here, because Lawrence Shankland's your 9. Get the ball to him, he'll score goals. We don't get the ball to him. The blame here lies with the fact that there's just not enough quality. We're not good enough. The midfield is stagnant. The defence is pretty grim. The wide guys are doing okay-ish, but they're not creating enough opportunities. Telo Asgard is a 10. You know, people tell me Telo's such a good player. I can't remember the last chances he created. He doesn't create. He doesn't score. He doesn't. What does he do as your number 10? I'm sorry. He's just not for me. And then the guys that come on are plainly average. It just looks to, it looks to me, Ross, like, and I don't want everybody like piling in on players and all that, because I think it's easier just to say this group of players are not good enough. The quality is not there. And you can moan and bitch and whine and everything else. They don't look a cohesive unit. They don't look like they're understanding where they all should be. They don't look like they've worked on past years of play. They do not look like they're a group that are well formed and know how to play, and little 1-2s getting to bite. There's none of that. It's almost like, lads, 11 of yous tonight, go out there and win the game. How are we going to do it, Gaffer? Well, yous are good enough. Just go and do it. That's how it feels to me. And there's a real lack of quality collectively, individually. I think every single one of them needs to look at themselves. And yes, on the management, on the bench, and what they're bringing, I expected more. I expected Rangers to look organised. I expected them to look hard to beat. I expected us to be ready to go from the off. I'm sorry, but I can't defend any of those players. The attitude of some of them is bang on, embarrassing. And the performance level from some of them, they deserve every little criticism. Player said last night, I think Dan Neil said, Ross, that he was He found it difficult, the booing and stuff like that. You have seen nothing yet. If you thought the booing was bad last night, the booing will get 100, and that ferociousness will get 100 times worse if they don't pull it off on Sunday. And yeah, the team, the performances, the collectiveness, everything, they're a bad lot, Ross, from last night. And without saying this one's not good enough, that one's not good enough, I'm collectively going to tell everybody I believe that our team's not good enough. I believe that second half performance was garbage. I believe that the effort they put in was completely substandard and not fit for a Rangers jersey.
You're bang on in what you say, Stevie. My worry is that fans are going the scattergun approach. I'm very much the same as you. I think Panda has been a good signing. I think Yakota looks a good signing. The big centre half looks a good signing. Fernandez, as you say, playing with slippers on still, hasn't showed up. I just worry that the fans are gone with that approach of everybody's shite, everything's shite, transfers are shite, this is shite, and we're not giving players time to grow into the team. I don't think the manager is helping that. Obviously, on middle to front, because I think the defence speaks for itself, Stevie. Middle to front, I thought Yakota was really good in the first half. Then I think the manager changed shape, which meant then he was having to cut in and wait on Sterling to get around him. So it took him into a congested area of the field. So I would blame that on the manager and the change of shape. Asgard, I thought, must have been injured when he was taken off. I didn't think he was terrible last night. I thought he was giving us an out ball and at least holding on to it for us. Whilst I totally agree that he is Marmite, based on his history at Rangers, his body language, that I can't really be arsed, look, that I want to take extra touches. I think I'm a bit better than I am. Last night, I didn't think he was the worst. And I actually thought he must have been injured for the shape change. Ross McCrory that to me was a worry, taking off. The 4-4-2 hasn't worked for us under McInnes. And I thought with the 3-5-2, with the three in there, we had some semblance of control and attacking threat. And then I thought when we brought McCrory on at left back, we gave up the midfield, which allowed them to get back on top of us. Steve, I'm going to give, and I'm probably blinkered, the Shankland we are seeing the now isn't the Lorne Shankland I've watched for the last year at
Ross, mate, I'm going to quickly jump in. I agree with you. By the way, I wanted him. I'm not being two-faced. I'm delighted Lawrence Shankland is here. I was looking forward to 20 goals. But I also think if you don't get him the ball in the right positions, he is useless to your team. But he's also, only on what I've seen so far in a Rangers jersey, a far worse player than I thought he was, given what he's performing. Can he get better? No, I'm sure he can. But at the moment, it's really bad.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say, Stevie. For anybody who, obviously, listen, I watched every Hearts game last season. That's why I vouched that Cammy Devlin could come in here and do a job. That's why I claimed Lawrence would come in here and do a job. The Lawrence you're seeing this season is playing in a different position, right? Some of the people saying that they lost respect for you, Stevie, based on your criticisms of Lawrence, which are fair at this point in time for somebody who's just basing him judged on what he's done in a Rangers shirt, 100%. Some of the fans that are going for him personally, he's physique, he's fat, he's a waste of space. No for me, no having it. The boys came in, he's got the movie His Life. I don't know if any of you boys have ever played on the park at Ibrox in a charity game or an end of season game and your arse is making buttons. So we've seen ourselves at the end of we've seen at the end of last season what Lawrence can do. He done it to us. Ball across, bad foot, first time shot. He's got it in his locker, Stevie. He will show it. I know he will. But basing your opinion on his performances for Rangers, he's not been good enough. His second touch is a tackle. I'm hoping he's grown into the jersey, grown into the responsibility of being a Rangers captain. But some of the comments from people, personal, I just can't get behind when you've got a boy that's trying to adapt to it. He's a Rangers player. He's going to be. He's the Rangers captain. He's going to be there more than he's no. And rather than supporting players to play into form, I don't feel as if we are. As I say, the way he's playing that halfway line, running half the park sprints, I've never seen him doing it before. It actually reminds me of 2 seasons ago when he played with Hearts and he was played in the 10 under Naismith, and he had a season where he never scored as many goals. I put it down to last season syndrome, and then he signed his extension last year. He got played up top alongside Braga, and he scored a barrel load again, despite missing 3 months. So I think has he been asked to do too much, or is he taking it upon himself to do too much? I don't know, but he's the captain of Rangers, and I think that personal insults we don't need. The same with Cammy, the same with Dan Neil, the same with this one, that one, the other. They're all here. They're on multi-big deals. If we can get behind them as they grow into being Rangers players, and I'm the first to understand you can't, what is it, Patrick Stewart says, you've got to fly the plane while you're trying to build it and that. I get it. But the hysteria, the name calling, isn't going to bring the best out of these players. Judging him on his performances, as I say, for me, you've done it professionally. You're bang on. First touch has been terrible. Second touch has been a tackle. Slow to get shots away. Know where he should be. 100%. And I think you could say that about quite a lot of them as well. I think Dan Neil last night started off well, then played a couple of back passes, and there was grumbling for the crowd, and then all of a sudden he was scared to play it forward. I thought the same the Hibs game. Finn Curtis, him and Romans were vying to get, they're trying to build up an understanding, and when Curtis was getting back, we're on top of him. I just don't think it's conducive to allowing a team to grow and gel when we are so, I get it, we're desperate, we're absolutely starving for some form of success as Rangers fans, but we're not going to get it by jumping on their backs. We need to, and I'm saying that as I sit here and slag them. I know that that's bonkers, but I just think that we need to let something build, or else it's just going to be a case of everybody sees her down and we're back on the manager merry-go-round in September, October, and where do we go for there, Stevie? Really, I don't know.
I think Ross mentions a good point at the end there. It is hard to come up with some sort of 100% foolproof answer, because at this point in time, I don't think there is one. I think I get where Ross is coming. It is hard to sit and ask for patience and time. I still fully believe that given the right players with the characteristics, because that's something that McInnes spoke about, that when players sign for Rangers, he doesn't mind if they want to go on and do other things, but ideally they need to understand that they're here for Rangers firstly and foremost, and what that means is bringing success to our club. So when we're sitting and, oh not we, but when fans are sitting getting personally saying, oh, Shankland looks fat, Shankland looks this, that doesn't do anything. I get maybe people are emotional. I'm not trying to excuse anything like that. But we just have to base it on the performance. And see when you come to Rangers, this is the thing. Like I've always had this opinion. I think maybe people are the same. See everything you've done before. This might be a bit out there, right? But you could have won the World Cup for all I care before, right? It doesn't bother me. It's what you do at Rangers, and we've seen far better players come at Rangers and not been successful. So again, Pandor for me. If we had a full team of him, I think it might be a little bit better. But he was good. Again, he still has his confidence. Still coming out early to try and sweep things up. Again, started off at that back three. I'll not lie and say I was a little bit worried in case somebody picked up a knock. And then we're literally in disaster mode. But again, looked and controlled. We controlled the midfield. Gassama and Yokota put in a power of shift. Again, hats off to Gassama in that first half and Yokota. They put in a lot of effort. But yeah, Shankland up front with Nadiri. Again, I've been on here saying I think Nadiri is just like a German Kenny Miller, but again, only in the work ethic. Like he works hard. He'll give you everything, but like you've mentioned as well, Stevie, he's not really scored many goals. And I get he's a young lad. There's a lot of raw potential there. And as Ross mentioned as well, we need to try as best as we can to get behind these young lads and everyone in the squad. But again, if we're not seeing much from these players, we can only kind of voice how we're feeling. And I get at times that might make players hesitant. But like what Andrew said as well, you need to have faith that not an arrogance, right? But you need to have a faith that you know a little bit better, if that makes sense, that you can pull off that pass. Do you know what I mean? You can make that forward pass, you can do that run. You need to believe in yourself. Like us as fans, we have that right that when we're there, we don't see something, we can boo or we can give a that was rubbish. But you just have to try and best as you can, tune all that out and just go and play your game. Whatever the manager's coached us to do, we need to go and do that. Again, Shankland has the ability. I was the same as yourself, Stevie, and I agree with what Ross is saying. I think Shankland will come good, but again, like we've all said at the start, so long as he's given the opportunities, he can't do it all himself. Do you know what I mean? And maybe Ross touched on something there. Maybe that's what Shankland is doing. He's got to move. Like as Ross said, I've never played at Ibrox, right? And like a kind of a charity match or anything like that. But I know my backside would turn to buttons 100%. But these guys have got to deal with that, and he's got to understand to do his job. And so long, again, it's not, because I know I said it previously, but you don't want to get into a mode where so long as I just do my job, that's all that matters. No, do your job, and then as a captain, you try and encourage your team forward. You try and encourage them to do the pass. Apart from that, midfield, I think at the start, Raskin looked. Raskin, he was a difference maker. I think for me personally, he done really well. But again, it's when we bring on midfielders, they all do the same thing. We don't have anyone who's really different, who's willing to take that ball and go forward. I felt quite bad for Dago Vegic, to be fair, because I think there was one point where he tried to do like some overhead kick in the centre of midfield, but I think he was just trying to do something, that he was just trying to create some sort of spark, and he's a young boy as well. I think it was Andrew or Calvin, sorry. I sort of get if I'm getting these confused, but one of these mentioned about the stats that in his previous club and his forward passing. I want him to bring that at Rangers. I want him to make those creative passes as well. So again, I think Pandor for me would probably be the only one who maybe get a 7. Everyone else would probably get like a 5 or a 6 at best. But again, it's a whole squad who's not doing well. And again, I don't think McInnes has an answer at the moment, because he doesn't know he's starting 11. He doesn't know, maybe who he can trust is a harsh word, but who he's going to put out on that field and is going to give him 110% and run through a brick wall for him. I think that's the issue McInnes has at the moment.
One thing on top of everything that we've said, and I know we've all kind of touched on certain players, and obviously we can't always narrow it down, but for me, as someone that did play on Ibrox and shot the bed in front of goal, had it straight to the keeper, it can be difficult.
Andrew Termiti.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, not get the pace of my Matondo counterpart, unfortunately. One thing that I would say for the last, I've been going to Rangers for a long time, ever since my dad was deemed I was old enough to go to Ibrox. He took me, and I sit next to the away end. You've got Hibs, who beat us at the weekend, and Felix Pazlak on the Twitter account going, "Good night, Ibrox." You had everything, the party in that end for when Hibs won, and the fans and everything. You then had the correct Wi-Fi password tweet from Bielstock last night. Does our home stadium mean nothing? Are they just coming for a piss take and having a laugh at our expense? And see, if you're a player in the park, does that not annoy you? Because it annoys me. If you're a player seeing the scenes in the away end, that would give me every sort of, psychological kick up the backside that, no, I'm not having this. And I don't want this to keep happening. That I'm going to have to keep going round this pitch and apologising to the home fans, whilst that, whoever it is, it could be any team, as I said, it was Hibs at the weekend, it was Bielstock the other night, and it could be St Mirren on Sunday. Does that not get a bit annoying to you. Are you a professional footballer? Do you not love to win, or do you hate to lose less than you love to win? Because I'm getting fed up of it. It might be because I'm right next to the away support, but surely, to God, you find an extra level. You dig deep when that happens to you. But I don't know. Maybe they're too kept too far away from it to really to feel it. But for me, I'm fed up of it becoming a party in the away end at Ibrox, and the players should be doing more to stop that from happening.
Andy Halliday on Sky Sports today. I can't say I disagree with him. Gross level of mismanagement in a football club. Signed 27 players in the space of 12 months. They got it wrong. The balance of the squad at this time, it's quite incredible they've allowed this to take place. Only one left back, 3 centre halves, 2 wingers, a whole host of central midfielders with the same profile. And he's right. He suggested phoning James Tavernier immediately. This is a problem. Nobody thought that James Tavernier should have stayed. There might have been a handful. Most of us recognised he had a great career with Rangers and it was time to move on. We've done what we've done with Cyril Dessers. Anybody else that you want to point at that we thought at the time, right, good time to go, etc., etc., but they've just replaced him with absolute dog shit. And when you do that, everybody goes, oh, we should have kept Dessers or we should have kept Tav or whatever. I understand why he's calling for Tav to come back. Because when Tav was sold, we were all sold this misunderstanding that perhaps a scouting team, right, perhaps they could have just went, well, do you know what? See, for the last year, we've known that our 34-year-old right back was coming out of contract. Maybe they'll just scout a new one. Like, honestly, like it sounds mental, doesn't it, everyone? Maybe they'll just scout a centre back. Maybe they'll sort that defence. So we were all like, yeah, now's the right time to go and let Tav go. But lo and behold, what we didn't factor in the fact is that the recruitment team at Ibrox, and I mean all of them, and I mean Cavanagh, and I mean every single one of them involved in that. There's a thing on, like, everyone who keeps blaming Robbie Thelwell for this and everything else. Robbie Thelwell's a fucking scout. Do you think he has a final say on anything? No, he doesn't. Right? So can we make sure that the targets are the right targets when we're complaining about this? The right targets are the people making the correct the end point decisions. So see if our scouting team are going to them and suggesting the likes of Dahl and everything else, and we're going, nah, the recruitment team's then getting moved aside and it's the people higher up that are making the decisions. We need to make sure we're focusing our eye as such on the right people. Robbie Thelwell's a scout. Can we let that bit go? Because it's doing my tits in that he's to blame for everything. Same as Dan Purdy. Dan Purdy's a fucking scout. Do you know who makes the big decisions? It's Andrew Cavanagh, Parag Marathi, it is Jim Gillespie, it is the people that make the top decisions, that sign the contract to sign these players for $4.5 million and everything else. They're the people. That's the point of me when I said last week, it's a collective eye. But Thelwell and Purdy and everything else aren't the ones that are doing the big deals. That's my point on it. We do know now that the deal for Coab Druish is off. There's been a bit of back and forward. The main point is for £7 million, he is injured. He had a medical. Rangers sent him for a further scan. The results of that meant the Rangers chose to walk away from the deal. PSV say that he's only going to be injured for a few weeks. Rangers say he's going to be injured for 6. Guys, we've been on for a long time, so I'm kind of I don't want to keep people on for too long, but I would say to that, Rangers are right to walk away. I remember Michael Ball was supposed to be out for 2 or 3 weeks, and we've seen him 18 months later. I remember Daniel Prodan, God rest him, sadly not with us anymore. He never played a game for Rangers because we just thought, well, he's failed his medical, he'll be fine. No, he wasn't. I remember Cortez coming in and being out for ages. Tour Romans has come in and he's made like a rich tea biscuit. Dujon Sterling is the exact same. If there's any doubts about a guy that we're going to spend £7 million on, Rangers done the right thing, boys, to walk away. Ross, what do you think?
Totally agree with you, mate. We need players that are going to hit the ground running now. What I would say is on the recruitment, we need to now take that $7 million and go and invest it somewhere else because we need players by Sunday. We're at the stage, Stevie, where Derek McInnes now needs the players in that he's been promised. One's fell through. Right, let's go to next on the list and get it done. Because I was on with you the other night and you said about we need to watch who we're blaming here. And when I thought about it, some of the names that we've approached, Lewis Ferguson, Dow, Penrice, we've been speaking about, was identified 6 months ago. It's the recruitment team are doing their job. They're giving us good names. They're suggesting good players. It's whoever it is who's dilly-dallying and fannying about while boys go to play for AC Milan under 12s because we don't get a deal done quick enough and allow other teams to come in. And that isn't Thelwell and Purdy, and they're at the moment providing a really good human shield for our CEO, our chairman, our investors, our board, Greta Steenson, whatever it is he does for us nowadays, Bjornaby. They're all quite happy just putting our two out in front of them like dummies to take the bullets for the fans. When the more I thought about it and maybe stopped reacting about it and listening to what you said, Stephen, the more I'm realising that our scouts have recommended decent players. It's maybe those above them, and that's why, going back to that pyramid, they can't be held accountable because Cavanagh would need to be holding himself accountable. And we did say everything they've touched has been a shitmare so far, and it doesn't show any signs of getting better. It's just getting smellier, in my opinion.
Again, my only concern with the scouting team was around the defensive template. As I said, like at the start, we had 3 or 4 defenders on loan, and to still be in the position that we're in at the moment with 1 left back and 2 right backs who can't play a full game. That to me is a little bit concerning. I know recently we've been linked with a few guys. I don't put at the doorstep that it's the scouting team who do the signings, do the deal. I know, again, they just come up, here's the recommendations. We believe these guys will be good for Rangers. But again, if they are just putting out the scouting team as a human shield to say, oh, it's not us. Again, as you have said several times on this, even before I joined, us as fans, we sniff it out very quickly. We'll understand that it's not the scout. I mean, I think is it Niles Cloppin? I think he was kind of decent. I think it was Cortez that kind of was a nail in the coffin for him. Think about the guys that he brought in as well, and kind of how then he was shipped out. But we need guys in sooner rather than later. I think we just need to go to the next on the list, as Ross said, and just get guys in these key positions. We need to be ruthless and also letting guys go, because 9-10 midfielders, that's a massive wage contribution. If Derek McInnes doesn't see these guys being a part of our club, he needs to say thank you for your service. Your time's up.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about certain players all the way through the summer and names linked. I think back to when like Scotland, the Swedish right back, was being linked. I think, okay, interesting market, good age, good profile. And to be fair, I mean, some of them I thought were decent. I think we've had a decent mixture of local talent as well as going to some of the other markets. I think I know the McInnes one, I certainly have liked what I've seen so far, and I think the boy, the striker, would be like McKelsey. Amount of MLS hatred going on. I get we've had Cifuentes and it didn't work. It's difficult because you kind of just live in the UK and only know the Prem, and definitely Championship hasn't been working for us. You need to continue to look. I mean, we've talked about Dow for the majority of this window and how we got close but not close enough. And that's a decent league. I mean, talking about Robbie Euro and the Allsvenskan, those markets are places I think we should be looking to. But you need to supplement that with a wee bit more experience. I can't for the life of me figure out why we haven't brought in a 30-plus-year-old centre back who isn't going to make you money, but has know-how, has what every one of the others in that back line at the minute doesn't have, and that's played games year in, year out, and knows the game. And I say centre back because I think there's players with talent around. And the key one for me is Maya Fernandez. I think he can be a player that you can really get a talent out of consistently, and he can become a sellable asset. But you need to have someone who can just go and put an arm on him and go, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, this is how you do it, this is how you do that, and just teach him. And I get there'll be coaching and things in the background, but just player to player know-how. again, Davy Weir's the main one. Davy Weir was never going to be a player we were going to sell on, God no. But how much he contributed to that Rangers squad, immeasurable. And that's where I think we're falling short.
Yeah, falling short, sadly, on a lot of things. James Penrice is coming in, believed to be medical today, alone with, I think it's an agreed deal to buy. Do you know, Stevie sits in his partner's bedroom podcasting, and even I fucking identified James Penrice about 3 months ago as being one we should have went and got. And I'm just a baldy little guy that sits and moans about absolutely everything. And I really don't get how it took Rangers to the 14th of August to get their finger out their arses and get that deal done. I just don't get it. Sometimes the obvious ones are the obvious ones. Did we need a left back? Yes. Did we need more Scottish players? Yes. Did we need somebody that would come in and push two Romans? Yes. Did we need left back cover? Yes. It's just so obvious. But no, we've got 14 million midfielders to sign first before we sign one of the guys we need. I really don't get it sometimes. But, boys, he is at least going to be coming in. Good signing for me. Somebody that will push two Romans. Somebody that might even push past two Romans. It's the most obvious signing. A smart signing. He's Scottish. It's a good deal. I mean, everything about it should have been done 3 months ago. Sorry, lads.
James is got to keep for this. He's another one I watched at Hearts, obviously, and he was class. He's decent defensively, but very good going forward. He's got an absolute wand of a left foot, Stevie, and as you say, this one's been bubbling. It's been bubbling away since January, and then when you first heard we need a left back, and it's back to that one. How has a deal not been done? Why did it have to get for the shit to hit the fan for us to have to play free at the back in a European qualifier to then have to put Ross McCrory in at left back who gets beat at the back post, no defender on the right side of the park for him, for our money men or our deal makers, whoever it is, to go and make the deal for him? Why does it have to be so reactionary all the time rather than being proactive and saying there's a gap, there's a plug that we can put straight into it. It fills in a space in the homegrown and the nation-trained quotas for Europe as well, which really helps. But we can't see the wood for the trees. We would rather pin our hopes and I hear Derek Clark's been saying this on the review with you and everybody else, Stevie, that we're pinning our hopes on leaving a pathway for a boy who 3 weeks into the season is still in a moon boot, rather than just going and getting somebody that will do us for this season. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Aye, listen, just so long as he can give 100%. I'll be honest, I've not seen much of Penrice. Apart from, sorry to steal your thunder here with this one, Stevie, but Football Manager, that's really all I know him from. It was decent enough for me there, but any other team, I only ever see their players when they're playing Rangers. So listen, it comes in Scottish. Hopefully, he should understand what it means to play in this league, since he's played in this league before. And as Ross said, if he's got a decent left foot on him, then he can overlap with Gassama or Curtis or whoever we're going to put out in that left wing. But again, Ross is spot on. Why are we always reactive and not proactive? Like, we need to be ruthless. I've said it. Like, we can't just say, right, cool, two Romans. This is just my thought, okay? And I'll take the heat for it if I'm wrong here, which I probably am. So, but we signed two Romans, and I think everyone at the club, like not fans, but everyone at the club was like, cool, we're sorted at left back. That's us. We're sorted. We don't need to focus on that. But now, again, two Romans is hurt, and he's not playing as well as he did in the later half of last season. And now it's all panic buttons. We just need to have this ruthless mentality that no one, no matter how well they done last season, it's like, I'm probably going to misquote, I think it's yourself that said it, Stevie, but you're only as good as your last game. So, see your last season, all that's wiped clean for me. You then need to go out and prove to us again why you should be the captain, why you should be in the starting 11 of this Rangers squad. And see if you're not good enough, then we need to go and replace you. That's just my opinion.
I'll keep it brief on Penrice. I think it's a good player. I think I can't say I watched a lot of him in AAK, but from his time at Livy, I thought he's developing into a real talent, and then Hearts really helped find that extra, gear for him, and he got himself a move away from the Scottish League off the back of that. He ticks boxes that should have been ticked and reticked about 10 times over in the last weeks, months. But this is what I was saying. I had that in my kind of notes last night, that this was before Drew's fell through, that these are areas that we've been talking about for God knows how long. So I can't give recruitment teams or whoever it falls to a lot of credit when it's been crying out for this long. So well done, but you're not going to get a parade of congratulations extensively for work that should have been a tap in.
Yeah, and here's the thing that also, as good as James Penrice might be and is excellent for the squad and everything else, what is he, 10th signing coming in, and he's another squad player. Their lack of quality and first team standards is massively low. Rangers have offered Portland Timbers, I think, in the region of what, $7.5 to $10 million for striker Kevin Kelsey, Venezuelan tall, strong strike. Do you know what? I don't even know if I want to talk about it, because it's just another one where I kind of feel like we're just throwing shite at a wall and hoping something sticks. And I mean, we're back to spending money on a striker, but who's going to get the ball to him and everything else? Like, there's so much that needs to be done in this. Boys, I'm going to wrap it there. I'm conscious it's 8 o'clock. I don't want to spend too long. I started 10 minutes early for talking about the club, and I want to finish by saying something as well. But before we do that, I want to thank you, Ross. Thanks for coming on, mate. Appreciate it.
No bother, mate. Apologies for my rambling, Stevie. Some of the answers went round the houses a wee bit and right into the time we had. So my apologies to you and the panel. We'll try and cut back on it in the future.
No, not at all. I think what it tells you is we're all looking for answers, and we're all trying to have a say. We're all trying to make sense of it, because everybody wants to find the solution, don't we, William? I really appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me. And again, just to touch back on it, I don't mean actually physically grab somebody by the throat, just figuratively.
All right, mate. All the normal people knew what you meant, so it's good. Andrew, thank you as ever, mate.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Cheers, Stevie. Just need to keep going on.
Yeah, I'll finish this up. I spoke about at the top of the show about Andrew Cavanagh needing to make the right decisions and everything else. Andrew Cavanagh came in with a lot of fanfare just over a year ago. Rangers Football Club have had no commercial director now for nearly 2 years. We've had a full-time youth academy director on interim for nearly 3 years. Ibrox has needed a facelift for years. The outside, the least we could have expected was the tarmac and everything being done, things that have been promised. We seem to be hearing a lot and not a lot's getting delivered. I'm all for Andrew Cavanagh being at this football club. I really, really am. Talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap at Rangers Football Club. And you talk a wonderful game, and I really like you. Lots of respect for you, but you need to start delivering. And that goes from the top of a football club right down to the very bottom, from the kiosks at Ibrox to the quality on the pitch. None of it is where it should be. And yes, I believe truly that your heart's in a good place, but I also believe that some of the things aren't getting delivered. Rangers go on to Sunday with St Mirren, and it really is do or die almost already, and it's quite ridiculous 5 games into the season to be in that. And if you believe that 27 players in 12 months and 50 odd £50 million worth is spent is money well spent, sadly I don't. The quality from top to bottom of this football club is lacking throughout. And I don't mean the hard-working staff. I don't mean that. There's some lovely and fantastic people there. But somebody at Rangers need to ask as well as why 60 members of staff have left Rangers since the start of the year. It's very concerning. And from top to bottom in that football club, this needs to be better. It needs to be fixed. Before we go, I will say thank you to our sponsor, CBD Oil Scotland, Candid, LBJ Consultants, Elite Scooter Scotland, Metaclad 4 Lads Official, Rangers Roofing Partner, Athletics Lounge by Sharon. I'll never get that right, but I do really appreciate the sponsorship and the help on the podcast. So I'll try again. Athletics Lounge by Sharon, something like that. Denhay, the quintessential British bacon as well, partnership too. Thank you very much. And AFO Industrial Solutions. I'll never apologise for trying to be honest on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people say you're far too negative. I only call it as I see it. 3 trophies in 15 years is pretty grim for us, a club that we like to think of our standards as high. The truth is that every season the standards are getting worse and worse, and the spiral is going downwards. If Andrew Cavanagh isn't careful, that spiral will take a long way to start unwinding and getting back to where Rangers Football Club is. And at the moment, that's miles away from where it should be. Everybody at Rangers, from chairman downwards, needs to do a hell of a lot better, and very, very quickly, because quite simply, we deserve better. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Take care. The Four Lads Rangers podcast is proudly sponsored by Candid, LBJ Consultants, CBD Oil Scotland, Elite Scooters Scotland, and Metaclad, Four Lads' exclusive roofing partner. The Aesthetics Lounge by Sharon, Denhay, the quintessential British bacon. Thank you to all our sponsors, and in partnership with Black Rooster, Art of Gold, and Rangers Youth Development Company. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.